Hey everybody, this is Lisa Baudouin. Welcome to Lisa's chat room. Today is Friday, October 3rd, 2025. And in this video, we're going to be talking about chemical awareness. This is due to the chemical sensitivities that I have. I don't have a lot of subscribers, but I have a lot of people watching those videos as far as chemical sensitivities. Some people are just interested. Some people have these sensitivities, and it is really difficult for them to live in this world because there's so much chemical out there. Now, before I begin, I have to disclose I'm not an expert in anything. Anything I share with you, if you try it, use it, or buy it, you do so at your own risk and peril. Also, too, I'm not affiliated, endorsed, or reimbursed by any company or product that I talk about in my videos. And finally, if you get something from this video, please give it a like, subscribe, share with friends and family, drop the comment below, and also please click the notification bell. Ding, ding. Okay. All right. So this is an impromptu. And what I usually do is I'll make a video. And if I feel that it's an urgent video, I'll put it up there on YouTube or wherever. And then I will eventually pull it and render it, make it nicer, take out all my chitter, take out anything that's redundant or unnecessary. But today I'm just going to post this out there. See, like something like that, I'll take out that error. But today I'm just going to put it up there because it is the winter season here where I live. It's turning into the winter season. It's going from fall, and it's going to get cold pretty fast now, even though it's been really warm. We had a very warm September. October's actually been warm too. But eventually it's going to get cold. And so it is hat and scarf weather. And so this video is about hats, scarves, basic overall trying to get chemicals out of your clothing. And I will tell you, when I'm affected, I have a hard time. But the minute I come home and I get into my, I guess you could call it a safe zone, because I make sure there's no chemicals in my house. And if there is, I have to get them out because of those chemical sensitivities. But I get them out pretty good, and I'm pretty good at it now. So I talk a little bit first about what I'm doing or what can be done to try to avoid or at least remove some of these chemicals out of your clothing. And then in the second half, I'll talk a little bit about the database and what I've been doing with that, because it's really getting good. So the first part is basically this overall understanding about this. These are socks, hats, scarves. These are these bandana things that I bought. I don't know, they're crappy. They don't look anything of what I wanted. I wanted something that would cover my head. And the reason I would do that is because when I go mow the lawn, I don't want anything getting into my hair. Because if I mow the lawn without anything on my head, I have to come in my house and I use a hairbrush down here, that hairbrush, and I stand over this bin and I literally brush my hair out and I vacuum it. That's right. And you might say, oh my gosh, she's nuts. No, it is in my hair. And my doctor's daughter actually is highly allergic to pollen. She's allergic to grass. She's allergic to these things. So this is one of the things I have to do. I'm allergic to it too, and it works. So what I've been trying to think about was, how can I make a bandana that would go over my head but have a plastic lining so that it doesn't get into my hair? Because it gets into your hair, especially if you're mowing the lawn, you know, that type of thing. If I'm just walking around, it does get on me. It does, because it's just debris. Now, one of the things about that, going outside, I actually spoke with her and told her the 3 things that I learned from this asbestos expert was to, once you've mowed your lawn, take and just spray it down with your pressure washer with just a little bit of plant-based soap, and just a little bit, and that'll help remove any of the stuff that's falling onto the grass. It'll help hold it onto the grass, and then when the rains come, it'll help pull that into the ground. All right, so that's one of the things. Of course, someone who's highly allergic to grass and pollens and things like that, they can't go walking around the grass, and which is so sad, right? So there's this part where we're doing basically the proactive stuff, and that's what this is. Reactive stuff is, what do we do with these allergies? How do we get rid of them? And I will talk about that in another video. I'm moving forward in that, and I am getting better, but I also still want to keep this prevention going, because even, grass and whatnot, that's okay, but I still want to prevent stuff from getting on me, getting into my clothes, for instance. Okay, I go out and I mow the lawn. That stuff is all over me, especially the way I mow the lawn, and I'm, using my clippers and things like that. I'm streaming up dirt and dust, and so I want to protect my hair. So using a plastic bag with a bandana over it was my idea. And I bought some really nice ones. They look nice on the thing, but this is what they are. Like, what the heck is that? I don't even know what that is. So I'm going to do something different. I'll just use like a handkerchief and make my own. And I'll put that in another video. But basically, you know, having that protection when you go out to mow your lawn, I think is important because you wash your body, but you do not realize just how much this stuff gets into your hair, which leads me to hats and gloves and things like that. So, last year, I think it was, when my granddaughter and my grandson came over, their parents brought them with hats on, and whatever is in, you know, the chemicals they're putting in the hats and scarves and whatnot, they can't feel it. They don't know it's there. It's not their fault. They don't understand it, and unless it affects you, you really don't deal with it, okay? Because life is so difficult. You're only dealing with what you have to deal with at the time. So, but for me, when they come over, it's a nightmare because if they have a hat that's, you know, they were washing them at least a little bit. But the thing is, it takes a lot to get it out of the hats and the scarves and the socks and things like this. And even your little hair bands. Okay, these, I've been doing this off and on for about 6 months now. I spritz it with a little distilled vinegar, let them sit in here. And then when I go upstairs, I'll open this up and just let it dry out. And I'll do that over and over. And then I'll take them and put them in hot water with washing soda. Not baking soda, washing soda. Sodium carbonate, not sodium bicarbonate. And I've talked about the difference between sodium carbonate and sodium bicarbonate. Sodium carbonate washing soda works so much better. The carbon dioxide's just basically removed, and some of the moisture is the difference, really. But chemically, it's different. So it works, it's more concentrated. And that's what I use now to wash my clothes. And if you ever look at your laundry detergents, look on the back and try to find sodium bicarbonate, sodium carbonate, and then maybe even an acid base or something like that. And what they've done is they've created some type of chemical ingredient recipe where once it goes into water, it's activated. And all the rest of the stuff is just stuff, okay? The stuff that really cleans. You know, there are some chemicals in some of the laundry detergents, of course, that are doing other things. They're cleaning. But like your brighteners and things like that, what are they? And the question, too, is when you buy products, you know, you walk down the... for me, what I do is I just call it a walk by or scoping out, where I'm looking at a product, turn it around, look at the chemical ingredients. If that thing has, first of all, 1,000 different chemicals, I'm not going to buy it. I'm going to avoid it. If it has chemicals that I don't understand the names to, I'm going to try to avoid that versus buying something that I can understand. And then looking at some of the chemicals in it and saying, okay, is this good for the environment? Because if it's not good for the environment, it's not good for me. If it's synthetic, most of the time, it's the synthetic preservatives that are getting to me. Formaldehyde, dimethicone. I want you to do me a favor after you watch this video. Next time you go to a store, I want you to go look at shampoos and conditioners. There's trends of these synthetic preservatives being put into the products. Now, I'm not saying that, you know, it's a horrible thing. It isn't, but it is. Because in your chemicals, when you have a recipe like that, you have to put something in that's going to preserve that product and also stabilize it so that when it does hit the water, it reacts then and not during the time that it's in a bottle, right? If you've ever had your kids make a volcano, you know that that volcano goes off when you mix the baking soda with the distilled vinegar or vinegar, because there's a huge reaction. So they use different types of acids and bases, or bases and acids. Your baking soda, your washing soda, those are basically the bases, the alkaline, and your acids are the distilled vinegar, boric acid, not boric acid, what am I thinking? Citric acid. And so you'll see that. And you'll see that in recipes too. There'll be a little bit of baking soda, a little bit of citric acid. And what'll happen is they've concentrated to the point where it's not going to react until it gets into moisture. So, but if you try to mix washing soda or baking soda, especially baking soda, with distilled vinegar, what's going to happen is you're going to have a reaction. So don't do it until it gets into the wash machine, okay? Anyway, point is, getting back to this, they came over and they were just filled with it because the hats, they were filled with this chemical. And the problem is it gets into their hair and it's really tough to get it out of the hair. You have to literally brush the hair up. Like I said, I use my hairbrush like this. I use that hairbrush. I put my hair upside down and I vacuum it. So when they come over, I'd have to give them a bath. And I feel so bad because they don't understand. But in a way, I'm educating them too. I'm like, hey, listen, this is not good stuff. And then while they're here, I actually wash them for the parents. And so, first of all, I have proposed to my kids who think I'm crazy about this, but I propose that they get a wash machine to wash brand new clothes. All my brand new clothes goes in that new washer that I've got, the Zeny, that I've done a review on. I never put it in my wash machine because what happens is the stuff that's in it, what they put in, and I have put links in many of my videos. I'll find a link again. These people that are making these products, usually overseas, they're very proud of putting a ton of chemicals in. And it can be formaldehyde. And again, like dimethicone. Like I said, you go up and down your shampoo and your even your lotions and stuff. They're putting dimethicone in there. Now, dimethicone is also used in your furniture polish. And I am highly allergic to dimethicone. I think it's a nasty, nasty chemical. And you know, it's in the furniture polish. Why? Because it's soft. It smooths things out. It looks like a silicone based shiny. And so you put it on your face and it shines. But what does it also do? Okay. And I'm not an expert in this, but I'm just saying, what is it doing to your skin? Your skin needs to breathe. Sorry, that's how I feel. So, but point is getting back here again, because I know I go off tangent, just trying to get you to see things and the way I do. This very urgent feeling of, gosh, you know, we need to protect our kids. We need to protect ourselves as well. And now I have this new playlist called For Safety's Sake, and I might put this video on there, but it is in the chemical awareness playlist anyway. But the point is, getting back here, please, what you need to do is take their brand new hats and gloves, and yours too, and spritz them with a little bit of distilled vinegar. Now, I want to show you over here, I'm treating some stuff here. Now, usually I take this stuff outside and do this outside, but I have been doing this because that guy with the garage, okay, and that's a whole nother story about him sanding down his garage and getting lead dust all over my yard. He's done, and I have cleaned up several times, but I just feel uncomfortable taking my stuff out and doing that. So I'll just do a few things at a time right here. And what I usually do is I put them on a hanger and I spritz them over this tub. Now, you might not have as many wash machines as I do. So what you can do is you can get one of these. And what I would do then is I would have two. One to vacuum and one to spritz. And then just put your, hang it and spritz it and just, move out of the area because you don't want to breathe it in. But you could hang it there and then spritz it down and let it dry. Really, that's how I did my coats too. And it takes out the smell, takes out mildew, and then I vacuum them. And that's kind of like dry cleaning in a way. So anyway, point is getting back to here. What I'll do is with brand new stuff, I spritz them down. I let them sit if I can. And now depending on how bad they are, I may just throw them in the wash machine with hot water and spritz them and throw them in there and try to get some of the stuff out. Because how they do it is there's different ways they do it. But usually what they do is they put the chemicals right into the water. And then they literally starch it in. And then they take like a big long iron sort of roller and they heat it up and they put it right in. So it's like a resin. And then it sits in here and it'll flake off as you use the garment. And those little tiny powdery flakes get everywhere. I'm serious. And so that's why I don't use my wash machine, because it's going to start to come off and it's going to start to flake off into the metal. And then so say you do this and you do that in that washing machine there. Say I do it and I do it in that wash machine there. Well, if I don't clean that wash machine out really good, the next time I go to use it, that little debris is in that wash machine. And I am not kidding you, okay? Because I have these sensitivities. So trust me when I tell you that. So I proposed to my kids, I said, you need to buy a second washer. Now, you don't have to get a huge one, but this one actually was $250. It was used, and I actually prefer the older ones. I know how to fix this thing. I know how to pull out the timer. I know how to fix the drum. I know how to fix the belt. It's not real fancy. It's basically does have its electric motor. That I wouldn't mess with. I would have a professional do, but I know how to do the timer. I can handle that. And so the thing is, it's easy. It's more easily fixable than your newfangled wash machines. So you could buy something like this at a used washer, shop or whatever, or you can buy something like this. Now this one is pretty good. This is the Zeny, and I'm coming up here, and right now I've got something soaking. See that? And that's with washing soda. Now, I don't care that my clothes aren't bright. I don't care. And I don't want my clothes to smell. I don't want any chemical, because when you put the fragrance stuff in, what is it? Do you really think it's lavender? Or do you think it's citrus? Maybe it's citrus, could be. You have to look at the ingredients to find out what it is. If it's some type of an oil or extract, okay, fine. But usually, if you look over on those ingredients list, sometimes you're going to find it's just nothing but chemicals that make you think you're smelling in lilacs and lemons. I would personally want to avoid that. So anyway, I would also want to avoid these scented things that you throw here to, that stuff you put in the water, the rinse water. I don't do that. I don't put anything in the rinse water except a little bit of vinegar, distilled vinegar. Okay, not pure vinegar, but distilled vinegar. And that's it. Here, what I've done was I spritzed it with distilled vinegar, put it in there, let it sit for a couple minutes, and then just filled it up a little bit, and then put washing soda in there. And what it's doing is it's soaking. Now, this thing really turns. Now, I'm going to go like this. See that? It's really turning. So what that's going to do is it's really going to mash up that resin, basically, that's sitting in that material. And then what I'll do is I will fill it up a little bit more. I'll rinse it. I'll do that a couple times. Then I'll actually put it out, let it dry, and I'll vacuum it. And do that a couple times over and over. Especially with your hats and the socks and things like that. I would definitely do that. Now that comes to shoes. So here, these shoes, they had it in there too. Anything that is got cloth like nylon is the worst. Nylon is the worst, I'm telling you. Because once it gets in nylon, it's very difficult to get out. So, but these shoes, I have to clean these shoes. And when I go somewhere, I literally come home and I vacuum my shoes. I have to vacuum my shoes, my socks. I have to treat my shoes. So what I did with these shoes when I bought them is I took them outside. I spritzed them with vinegar, really quite a few times, and then I vacuumed them. And every time you do that, it helps remove that resin. And the sad part of it is you buy brand new socks, you don't clean them, you put your feet in your shoes, and that resin gets all over your shoes. And I'm not kidding you. This is not anything to do with mental illness or conditions. As a matter of fact, I can see something shining on the floor. I don't know if I can pick it up. It's right here. Sometimes you can actually see it. It'll look like a bigger flake will look like a sprinkle. But there's no sprinkles down here, trust me. And I vacuum this floor constant too. But so it's on here. And it's on your shoes. So what I would do is when you get new pairs of stuff, I would just spritz them down with distilled vinegar and at least vacuum them a little bit from time to time. Because what's going to happen is you put your shoes on with new socks, you walk around your house, you go lay down on your couch, you go back in your bed. Guess what? This stuff is all over the place now. And why is it important not to have it? Because it's a chemical that you're breathing in. You know, we're finding out, experts, are finding out more and more the repercussions of the chemicals they're using, the repercussions of the products that we're having. On Netflix, they have this new thing now. They're talking about, Amazon and this, that stuff, and the overselling stuff. And these people that are so freaking, it kind of makes me mad. Now they're coming forward. They worked for the company, and now they got, screwed, or they finally woke up or whatever, and now they're warning everybody about the issues, the chemical impact, the impact on the environment, the impact in our, garbage systems and being in landfills and whatnot. Now they're doing that. Well, you're an adult. You should have known better. But the problem is we don't know better until people like me, who seem a little insane, get on the television or the YouTube channel and I voice it. And the only reason I know this is because of my sensitivities. I would have been just as naive about it as anyone else out there. That's the sad part of it, the reality of it. And the only reason my kids know about it is because of me. And my grandchildren know about it. So, taking these precautions. So again, what you do is take and get, especially when you get brand new stuff, and every once in a while you should do this anyway. Just take and spritz it down with a little bit of distilled vinegar before you wash them. Let them sit for just a little bit. Put them in the washer. If you have brand new clothes, I would really recommend you get a separate wash machine and do them several times. And what I'll do is once I wash that, whatever's in there, I will rinse that out. And that's why I have this hose here. I can just get up there and rinse it out. I also have my wonderful little duster wands. And I did a product review on these. Now the sad part, they don't have them like this anymore. I don't know where they went. They have something similar. And these are great because this thing snaps off. So I can vacuum this, vacuum this, vacuum this, and then eventually clean it. And I have, luckily for me, what I did was I bought a bunch of them. So I have them on stock. They're down in here. And then also too with my vacuum cleaners, I clean out I have extra because the vacuums have broken. And so I have extra. And then I clean out the filters and whatnot. So also too in my little sink, I've got that, and I've done a review on that. That thing works great. It works great. And then every once in a while when the sink is dry, I'll vacuum the sink because debris gets in that sink too, and it kind of just sits in there. So it works really good. Here I've got little hair bands. It's in these hair bands. These little bra extenders. It's in that. It's in here. It was in all this. It was in my socks. So for my socks, I just spritz them with the distilled vinegar, let them sit, let them dry, turn them inside out. And I use my gloves, by the way, when I'm doing this. And these are all good. I know because I have, the nose. You pick this stuff up usually through your nose, by the way. I will make a note of this because when we go, again, this is the proactive part of it. The reactive part is when I respond to it. I notice that when I'm sick, I don't react to it. Why is that? Not as much. And the reason is because it's coming into my nose receptors. And my nose receptors are connected to my allergy sensitivities, to my immunity response. And so we'll move into that eventually. But I just want to get through here, and I really just want to, I don't know how, I'm warning you. I am warning you. This stuff is sitting in your kids' hair. And then your kids take the hats off, and guess what? It doesn't get out of the hair. And then they sit down or they lay down on their pillow, and they sit down on the couch, and it's all over the place. And you're breathing it in. And I don't know how much is in there. I can tell you when I buy things that are brand new, it's doused in it. And they talk about it in those videos, how they douse it, how they literally heat it up because then it creates that resin. And if you ever think of hairspray, when you spray your hair, that's basically like a resin that you're putting in your hair. Now, if you don't wash your hair, it sits in your hair, it breaks down, and it just sits as a powder. It's the same premise, all right? So knowing and understanding that. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is my database. I've gotten so good with my database. It's really coming along. It's to the point where I know, let me go upstairs and I'll talk about that. Hold on. All right, you might not see this too well. I'm in front of my computer, and actually I keep everything on main drives and I toggle them on. It's like a library, or excuse me, I keep everything on hard drives and I toggle them on and off. And I've had an issue with the Seagate. Oh my gosh, I might make a video about it because their hard drive came in, it was bad, and it's been a heck of a thing. Long story, but anyway, point is this is my computer's. This is one of the drives. It's like a library. So when I go into my allergy database, which is right here, it's really getting good. Because what I've done is I've created this wonderful, comprehensive database where I can, first of all, I put the chemicals into a table. So, oops, sorry, that's not where I wanted to take you. So when I go like this is a table with a bunch of chemicals. So when I buy a product, I stick the chemicals into that table first, and then I can create on this, which is another table, I create lookup. So I enter a product in here, and then I can take and let's just look at Dawn. This is, and I also put the year, because these products are going to change from year to year, even within months. The bill of materials, the recipes inside. So for me, what I'm doing is I'm asking myself, first of all, what am I sensitive to, but also what am I not sensitive to? Because I need to find out which products, what chemicals are in a product that I can tolerate, as well as knowing the ones that I can't. And the whole thing is step by step by step. I've been doing this now. This is 10 years that I've been working on this database. It works really good. And so I can find a product if I want to here. But anyway, point is the basic thing is asking myself, first of all, overall, am I sensitive to this product? Which means all those chemicals are going to be in like a separate table. It says she might be allergic to these. And then what happens is if I'm not sensitive to a product, those chemicals are going to say, well, she might not be sensitive to these products. And the more I go through and figure out which ones I'm sensitive to, I can take a look at the specific chemical. So then I can have a list, and it tells me which chemicals I'm allergic to and which ones I'm not, hopefully, right? And as I go through, it's basically on the fly. And so here I've got, this is the table list for the chemicals. And over here is the product ingredients. And so what I do is I just pull, I don't do anything here. I can just add them here if I want to, or I can even add them here. So here what I did was I just copy and paste the ingredient list into here, and then I clean it up. I put it in a number system because I need to index it. And I indexed it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and so on and so forth. So those are in there. And am I allergic to this product? No, I'm not. All right. So that's what I do. Then when I enter another product, if I'm allergic to that product, let's see. I'm going to try to find something that I'm allergic to. I know I'm allergic to Tide. All right. So am I allergic to this product? Yes. So what I did, and at that time I didn't put stuff in here, but I've got the product in here, and I'm not quite done with this because this is an older one, but it definitely needs to have my indexing in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And once that happens, what happens is I've created these, they're called, when you create a query, you can have a crosstab query. So here's my crosstab query for if I'm allergic to it. So what's happening is I created a query behind this where it's pulling all these chemicals, and these are the products up here. So crosstab queries are just like pivots in Microsoft Excel or Google Sheets. You've got a row, and you've got a column, and you've got a value. And what I'm doing is the value is the sum, and I'm just adding 1. In other words, it's just a 1 tick. But here it's showing that, and this one has 2, which means I must have 2 Tide products that I put in here. So, but point is I can take and I can look at these like this, which is kind of difficult, but I can kind of see. And if I got a lot of 1s going across, that means that I'm probably more than likely sensitive to that chemical, because this is my yes. Is she allergic? Yes. But remember, I'm doing an overall to that product. What if there's something in that product that I'm not allergic to? That's the problem. So that's why I need the yes and no. And what happens is as I move forward more and more, then what I can do is I can get into specifics and say, well, you know what? I know I'm not allergic to that chemical. So I'm doing an overall chemical sensitivity to the product, and then getting in specifically and looking at that chemical once I get to the point where I have enough data on it. And so here, let me see if I can find something a little... Okay, I'm unsure about this, but I actually bought some. This is the 7th generation laundry detergent. I bought some dish soap and I'm definitely allergic to it. So, and you know what? I'm going to show you. I think I have it in the kitchen because I got to take it back. And it's really sad. You know, these people at the stores, they understand. I'm like, I'm so allergic to this stuff. Oh, no, this is ivory. I'm allergic to this. Now, you would think it says dish soap, you know, tough on grease. It's basically no scent, classic scent. Could be the scent that I'm allergic to, the chemical of the scent. All right, that's the problem. The other problem is it's really hard to read all this stuff. That's the ingredients right there. Right here, right? Water, sodium lauryl. Now you're going to see that sodium lauryl sulfite. That's in almost every single dish soap you're going to find. And then all these. See this dimethylamine? That might be the issue. I don't know. This here, fragrances. I don't know what these are. I don't know what chemicals they're using. They're just basically saying, okay, it's fragrances. Well, what kind of chemicals are you using for those fragrances? Sodium chloride, salt, right? This, I don't know. And see, I bought it because I'm like, there's not a lot of chemicals in here. Now, what I do is I take and I pull out what I call the chemical clusters. Okay, the chemical clusters are basically what chemicals are in this product that actually do the job of cleaning the dishes, and then what chemicals are preservatives in here, and then what's the rest. Scents, brighteners, fillers, you know, they put a bunch of stuff, not necessarily these people, but people that create these products, they're going to put stuff in that's cheaper for them to put in so they can sell it to you. Because products are basically bought by volume. You buy it by volume, but you also buy it by strength. So there's that too. But anyway, when you look at it, I do know that it's, you know, water is cleaning. Water is one of the best chemicals we have, basically H2O, to clean. We've been using it forever. This right here, the sodium lauryl sulfate, which I'll talk about in another video, but basically I can see there's certain chemicals that are helping that do the job of cleaning. The preservative is this one right here, methyl lysone thiazolinone, also known as, I think, MIT. And there's this one, and there's one with a B, by something. These are preservatives. I don't believe I'm allergic to this, and that's why I picked it up. I'm allergic to formaldehyde, dimethicone, and formaldehyde can be hidden in a product with a different name that you don't even know. And the thing is they can mix formaldehyde with another chemical, create a new name, and you won't know. You have to search it up. And that's the sad part of it, because unless you are a chemist, which I'm no expert at this, but I am to the point where I know which ones are preservatives. So one of the jobs I do is, am I allergic to this sodium lauryl sulfate? No, not usually. But maybe there's more in this in this product here than what are in other products that I bought. Don't know. See, that's where the hard part comes from. But I have the basis in my database as far as moving forward. So now it's sort of like, you're looking for a needle in a haystack, basically. And the chemical is the needle. And you got to find out, well, should I avoid this chemical or not? So let me go back to the database. All right, so now I'm back in my database here. And again, you're not going to see it really good because I'm not using Zoom. I'm just using my phone camera. But here I've got that crosstab list. Now the crosstab, I told you, it's like a pivot. You've got rows, you've got columns, and you have a value. And you can put a lot of different values in there. And with MS Access, which this is what this is, it's difficult to force... I don't want to get too involved, but you use usually number-based things. Sums, groups of sums, groups of dates. Your summation is you're not usually using text, right? I have done it. It's not fun, but usually that's what the crosstab's going to look like. It's going to look like you've got your list of whatever you want. And you have to have a row, you have to have a column, and you have to have a value. And you can put more rows in. You can also hook up and make more columns. I mean, you can have hundreds of spiking in. And I'm just going to show you. I want to show you. This is the design of it. Now, I'm using the query grid in here. for those of you that are interested. This is the query grid, and here's the tables that are behind it. Here's my overall scheme of this database here. Here's my tables, my queries, my forms. I don't really have any global code going on. This is just a really simple, easy peasy database. And I'm actually going to show you how to do this in Excel or a spreadsheet, Google Sheet. That's why I'm telling you this, but I want to show you. So I'm looking at yes, right? Here's my criteria. I want to see the yes where I've said yes. So when I do that, I can see that here in this cross tab, and it shows me that. Now, that is the query grid. It's called a query grid. The actual SQL behind here, I should show you that. Here's the SQL. It's pretty simple. It's syntax. And I want to make a video about math. I think I could really help people understand math. I know, you're like, what? I recently went to the Racine Unified School District's budget meeting. And I know that kids are having a hard time with math. And I had a hell of a time with math, and I still have a hell of a time with math, but I understand concepts, basic concepts of math that I think I can share with others, and so I'm going to try to make a video on that. I'm doing a new playlist called Parenting Playbook Ideas. So it's not really for kids to watch, it's more for parents to watch to help share and put it in their playbook and help teach their kids. So anyway, point is, this is the cross tab. So now what happens is, I don't want to save that. Now what happens is I have a list. And so from there, here is the list of chemicals that I'm more than likely sensitive to. And I have them in count. So in other words, I'm more than likely allergic to whatever's in this higher count than the lower count. And I know it's hard to see, but you can see. So what can I do then? I can take and I can research. Obviously I can't research this because they're not telling me what these chemicals are. They just say fragrance. So what do? I avoid anything that says fragrance. Any kind of product that says fragrance, I just avoid it. And then all these here. And what'll happen is I'll go in and I'll just check to see, because the problem is some of these ingredients might be in products that I'm not allergic to. So that's that overall yes or no, right? So those are the ones I'm allergic to. Here's the ones I'm not allergic to, possibly, usually. And I can take and I can create a count on here too. Did I do it right? Sort from largest. There we go. So I can look at these and I can say, well, it doesn't seem, but this one here, I know that I am. Somehow it's streamed in here. And the reason it's streamed in here is because maybe in that product, there's not much of that tetrasodium EDTA in it. That's the problem. There's measurements of different things. So maybe there's a point in my system where I'm allergic to it when it gets to a certain level. And that is, again, that's going to be in the responsive videos when we're talking about immunity and sensitivities in the nose, all the way down to the histamine response. We'll talk about that then. But right now, I've got this proactive. I've got to make it where I'm safe, where I don't have reactions. So I'm going to look for products, especially down here, these ones that have a low number. I'm going to look for products that have this in. And actually what I do now is I buy products and I just test to see if I'm feeling it. And then what I can do is from there, when I know 100% that I'm allergic to it, now what I've done is I've created where I've got, when I do the chemical lookup, so this is the chemical lookup. Here are the products the products have that chemical in it. So I know these are the ones that have the chemical in it. And then I can do some more research on it. And that's what I'm doing, because I only have so much time. And, I made this very comprehensive. I worked in a commercialization department for just a little while when a company was trying to parse out the formaldehyde in the products. So I know a little bit about it, not too much though. I'm definitely not an expert. So, but here what I'm doing is I'm creating that, I've gone from overall, am I allergic to this product? And now looking at that chemical and saying, have I decided I am not allergic to this chemical? So it's a yes or no. You know, I could do it either way. Am I allergic to, have I decided I am allergic to this chemical? It's probably what I should have here, but I have the no for some reason. So if I think I am not, then what will happen is when I click this, the idea will be now when I do the no list, there'll be an extra row here that says I'm definitely not. I've decided that I'm not. Until such time that I buy another product and it's in that product and I find I am allergic to it, then I'll go through the whole process again. But I know it sounds like so much work, and it has been, but when I create databases, I do them a little bit at a time. And I just have a knack for it. And I really like to do it. And then also too, I have what store I buy it at, how much it costs. So how much does it cost me per load? I have that here. Now, in my, I think I have a chemical awareness masterclass for MS Excel where I show you in MS Excel how you can do this. So you can watch that. But one of the ways to do it just very simply is through any kind of spreadsheet application. You open up Excel. I'm just going to make a workbook here. Okay, I've just got a workbook, blank workbook. What you can do is you can save this, my allergy, you know, chemical awareness, whatever you want to call it, and then have your tabs. One is where you have the chemicals. So when you buy something, you add the chemicals here. Now, what you're going to need is you're going to need ID numbers. So, because that's what the difficult part is. A lot of people might not even want them. I definitely would, because this is how I attach things. And most professionals will do this way. Most professionals working in databases, these forms, this is a main form here. Okay. This is the main products form here. This is actually, I'm pulling in the chemical product form here and creating a join. It's a many to one join. And you're like, what? Just hear me through. This is basically, usually it would be the opposite way. Like for here, this is a one to many join. So this is the products, and these are the chemicals within the product. So this is a one to many join. You can also have a many to one join. And really, this is actually loosely, I'm loosely telling you this because I don't even think I have this joint at all. I just have this list if I wanted to look it up. Because when I first created this, I was like, I literally did this, hand-picked it one by one. Now I've got code behind it where I can pull it in, or like here, if I make a new, if I start to add a new product in here and it's not in this list here, it'll just auto add. So I can just type it here and it'll auto add to that list, that chemical, because I want it in my main ingredient table. And then I can parse it out and use it as a sub ingredient in my products listings. So I hope I'm making sense. But anyway, getting back to this Excel sheet, what you can do is just first of all create one and rename it and name it chemicals. You know, you don't have to even use the whole thing. You could do I would do chemicals. Nowadays, it's really nice. You can use, you know, text as a syntax. It's everything has a syntax. Math does, and that's why I want to create that video. Math is a syntax. There's a syntax to it. There's a, you know, rhyme or reason. Like we've got phone numbers, and you can identify a phone number by seeing the area code in parentheses, right? And so then you know it's a phone number. Social security numbers are, you know, number, dash, number, dash, number, right? So we see things like that. Nowadays, though, so there's a difference between numbers and text. And computer applications treat them differently. Numbers, text, dates, there's a difference. And they're actually creating coding behind these databases. Let me just show you. Let me take you behind this form. Here's my form here. Let's see if I have any code in this one. Nope, no code in that one, but I know I have code in this one. See, so this is just coding. I'm in the design view of this form. I'm just pulling it up, and here's my coding right here. It's not that hard once you know the syntax of it. And actually syntax has changed, and mainly that was because when MS changed its menu to a ribbon, back, I don't remember when it was, 2000 something. In 95, it was a menu. So everything was treated as a menu. Now the codes are a little bit different. But like I said, there's a syntax, like do command, open form. Okay, there's a do command, open table, do command, open query, do command, and then you can do, you open the name of the form. You got to have that syntax correct. And that's why you always use underscores, by the way, when you're naming your tables and whatnot. Don't leave blanks. If you do, you have to put them in brackets, but I wouldn't leave blanks. And that's why I do my file systems like I do. And then these are the commands. They're kind of like the extra commands, open it up normally, and this just means, this is one thing, this is one thing, this is one thing, then normal. And so it's asking you, I wouldn't even have to put any of this in. Then the program would automatically think everything's defaulted to the way that it's normal. But if I wanted to put something extra in there, like do a snapshot or print it out, that type of thing, I could do it there, right? And then this is basically error control. And, half the time I don't even put that in. Sometimes I think the error control actually trips it up when they go to the newer versions. But anyway, point is within, when I was showing you those queries, I showed you the queries where, let's get to the queries here. Okay, so here's a query. Here's my single to single to single, which I don't know why I have it single to single to single, but I do. Probably because it's a list. See if I've got something one to many. No, I don't have any one to many's going on in here. Okay, look at the product, maybe this one. Yep, so here I've got a one to many. And technically there's left joins, right joins, and in SQL the join is identified from, I don't know if you can read that, it says join by. So this is what I write. But Access is really nice because you can just create the query in their query grid design. Oops, sorry, I'm clicking. You can just do it in here, and I'll do it in here. This is really nice, but I know how to write the code. This is called, some people call it simple query coding, and some people call it sample query coding. SQL, that's what it's called. So when you go into the SQL of it, right there, see that? Right. So anyway, point is, now getting back to this, everything I want to show you here. This is what's important. All right, so I go into the design. This is the design behind the table, the first table. And if I go in, hold on a second here. All right, I'm going to go into the products table. So I'm going to go in and right click design. Okay, here I've got all my fields. Here, this is called an auto number. So what happens is when I create a new product name, it gets a product ID. And if I ever delete one of these records, it never reproduces that ID number. So that ID number can be used to join with something else. So that's the products. Now if I go into the products ingredients, I have the product ID here, and then I have the detail, which is the ingredients here. That is an auto number. Here, this I'm just associating as a number. And the reason I do that is then behind the form, when I get to the form, where is it? What did I call it? Main form. Usually you'd use a switchboard for this. I was just dabbling. But anyway, so what happens now is I've got the product ID and the product detail behind this. Let me get here, sorry. It's hard to do this on a phone. Properties. Let me go here. It's much easier to go like this. All right, so it shows you that the master linking is product ID number. Do you see? That's why it's really important to use numbers. Numbers are so much easier than using a long string of text. So that's why when you create your little file system, use a number for your product ID or for your chemical ID, CID. And then you would use, create another table. And come on, it's slow for some reason. Come on, there we go. And then for your products, you would use a product ID. And then for your chemicals, or for your product chemical tab, this would be your product chem or product ingredients. And what's going to happen is you're going to take and you're going to name your product here. So say you put something in here. Say the first product is 1. Okay, 1. And I don't have a header on here, but you'd put a header on here. So then over here, you'd put product ID number and you'd put chem ID number. So then you'd use those numbers from these tables to identify the chemical, and then you'd write it the chem name. Now, usually in a table, you don't, when you make a table like this, you don't usually put the product name in here, but in an Excel file, I would. So I would put the product name. So whatever your name is, okay, so if product A, just say this is product A, and then you would just take and you come in here. This would be number 1, product A, and you could create, it's a horizontal lookup. You could do that too. I'm not going to get into that. You can go look at it. I know how to do it. I have no problem doing it, but I'm not going to get into it right now. You create a validation look, and that way you can just literally do a combo list or a lookup list. Validation lists are called. In Excel, they're called combo lists. So this list right here, okay, you can create a lookup list here too. And you can create it on the number. You could create it on the product name. Personally, I would create it on the product name, and then I would, maybe you would want to have this first, I don't know, and have it pull the product. It's kind of tricky. You can have it where, because the problem here is when you are in Microsoft Access, it's so much easier to create a combo list. I can have all kinds of information here, but it's literally going by the product ID number. If I push this, it's the product ID number right here. It's pulling. Behind that combo list, the thing that's driving it, when I go into Design View, and I go into the source right here, I'm looking at, now here's another SQL table. It's just very simply the product ID and the product name, okay, for that one. But this one, I have the second one here, I have more, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now in MS Access, it starts with 0 when you do a combo list. So for my combo list properties, okay, and if I go up here and I go to my property sheet, I have the bound column is column 1. That means that in that row source, the first column, I'm using that as I'm using the product ID, which is the first column. Now, what I was trying to get at with the 0 is when you write code, you have to use 0. It gets it's confusing as all get out. They start in the coding. If you're gonna use the column and refer to the column, you'd put point column 0. That would be it in coding. But here, I'm just bound to column 1, and then I've got my formatting here. You know, I've got, okay, I want it this wide, this wide, this wide, and this wide. Okay, so just explaining this as I go, you know, and it's a lot involved. But basically, I'm showing you what I do. And then the other thing, I always have to have a picture, because otherwise I'm like, what the heck is this? I don't know. So I'll probably have to black out those pictures due to, you know, I don't want to get too involved and show you the pictures. For me, it's just reference. It's like, oh, okay. For example, my, where is it? Hold on a second. I'm looking for something. My Glassware database. Okay. So with my Glassware database, I actually have it where I am looking. I haven't been in here in so long. I don't remember how to do it. It's been a long time. Back to main menu. Expenses. There we go. Expense. All right. So now here I can see when I look at up something, I have a picture of it. Because otherwise I'm like, what is it? I don't even know what it is. You know, for me, my brain works where I'm logistic and strategic at the same time. I can play rummy and chess, but I need to have them both in order to refer to something. So this is my, this is basically my cost of goods. I'm lining up my expenses, and I can add a new expense here, and supplier. This is what, okay, this one's the nicer. So once I'm done, when I take my hand painted, when I take my glass, that was the inventory I have. So then what I do is once I take and paint something on it, see right here, I paint something on it, I can go into this, into my product breakdown, and I can pull my cost of goods through here. And as I pull, so say at the store, wherever I bought this, I bought 10 of these glasses. Well, once I stream, I can look it up. The wine glasses right here, $17.85. Let's go $17.85. Sorry. Again, it's not easy to do this, but $17.85. Okay, it's not on here anymore because I've used up all that cost of goods in that particular, and because I was messing it up. I've used that and I don't want to save that. Okay, because I've used them. If I had bought 10 of them and I only used 2, it would still pull and it would say I have 8 left. So that's how that works. But you notice I have pictures. That's the point of it. It's like I gotta have a picture. Oops, where did I go? Go back. I have to have a picture of it. So I take the glass, I buy the glass, I put it into inventory. The inventory has an ID number that was $17.85 for those glasses. And then once I make my product that I'm going to sell, then I can go in here and I can build upon that product and I can say, okay, it was made with this and this and this, and I don't know why it's not on there. Oh, I just didn't stream it on that one yet. But here it is. Oh, where'd it go? Please tell me I didn't mess up my database as I'm trying to show you this. I don't know. Let's see. There. Okay, so just showing you. I don't think I'm going to have to go back and see what I did, but that's what I'm trying to show you. I'm streaming my inventory through here. And the most important thing is this is the ID number of that inventory when I entered it into my inventory table. And then I created coding that makes it where when I use it in something, depending upon the quantity, if I used up, if I bought 10 of these plates and I used, or wine glasses or whatever, I don't know, I really must have messed this up now, but point is if I bought, I think I'm selling it as a combo, this one here. So I had bought 10 wine glasses. So now I use 2 in here, 2 in another set, 2 in another set, and eventually what happens is it drops off my inventory list. So, but my point, and I'm just trying to show you, one, my abilities, but secondly, and this is actually my video database, might as well show you this a little bit. So this is my inventory. Now I can use my playlist here, and here's this video that I just put out there, and here's my information on that. Here's my description that I put on the playlist. Here is the playlist that I can put it on. As far as this is concerned, I can have it on more than one, and I can have it in lineup. So in other words, DIY House and Home, I might have it under DIY House and Home, a video, but I might also have it under product review. So which one's most important? Which one takes precedence? And that type of thing. So I've got my gardening, my budget management file system. That's actually going to be coming out next year. Chemical awareness. This video will be going into here. So here I can take and I can look and see all that information. Citation, that is one of the most important things. This is so cool. I'm going to show it to you. I think you'll like this. Okay, so citations, what I do, because citations are so important. A lot of the information I do, the analogies and things, those are mine. But I use a lot of data from other people, other research, and imagery. So what I do is I pull it through here. And so I have special folders, my library. I'm going to show you. Here's my library. These are my personal stuff, and this is stuff from, so X is mine, Y is stuff that I pulled off the internet, Pixabay, a lot of things at Pixabay. Or if I make my own video, like I'm creating a video and I actually videoed me in a database, it's going to be in here. All my presentations are in here, mostly. But point is say I'm pulling in a picture. I pull in the raw picture and the name and whatnot, and here, what I'll do is I will have it in this list. So here, all right, and here what I can do is I can just go into my photo listing, and here's all of it. Everything I've got in this database is here. So here I can click on here, and that can show me the ID. And again, I have an ID. That's what's really important. You have to have an ID number. So, but I can also take and hide this, and I can do a search. So anything that says safety, can I see SAFETY? Anything that has safety, and so what I did was I created first. This is the title for what the author uses. That's their picture. All their information goes into here. And this one just nobody had a name on it, I guess. Usually I put the name in. So let me see if I can find something a little different. CLOCK. Clock. There. Okay. So this is that clock that I'm using in one of my videos that I've got. And I've got one coming out with that clock. And so this is the author's information. This is where it's housed at. This is the this would be the host. In other words, like if it's WebMD and it's some doctor that's made it, that's in there. And so then I pull that picture in here and I can create my citation here. Now that's book view. Well, one of them is book view and one of them is wide view. And sometimes it doesn't look right here, but because what I do is I stretch the image, it'll look perfect on the video. And the thing is see this? This is the name of the image offline, and then I put a CR, which means credits. And I can actually change the background of this right here. I can change that. I can add new colors to it. I can make the font from black to white. Yeah, right here. That's what I'm doing here. So I'm showing you a lot of stuff. This is what I do. This is what I'm good at doing, I think, personally. But again, there's that citation ID. Everything has a number ID to it. So then what I can do is I can create a citation lineup. So when I use this video, when I use this image, I can connect it to the video ID and exactly where it is in the video too, usually. And the whole point of that is to be able to go out and thank the person and acknowledge them and tell them it's in my video and thank you so much. And if I ever made money, I'd give them money. That was the whole idea. So I can add that right here, and that's what this whole system is about, which I haven't gotten done yet. But and here I've got monetized. Everything is done on the fly. You know, I do what I can. And so that citation, I can do that. And I run it through here first. And then I also make sure that I, you know, like, do I have a kite? I don't think so. No. How about child? You think, oh, child, see, so C-I-8, I just put C-H-I-L, and this came up. It's being filtered, so I can go to all the citations and whatnot that I'm using. That one. So it's only in several. Child. There. So 1 of 35. So I can click through and say which one is it, or I can go into my little photo library. And all these are libraries. So every single folder I have out there, library folder, I have here. Okay, and so I can assign it to a directory. I call them directories. And that way, eventually what I'm going to do is when I go here, right now I'm just, you know, making a copy and saving it to that folder. But I can, what the goal is to push a button and have it go right into that folder, and I don't have to mess with it. And that way I can pull it through my video editor and I can be done. But again, and even here, my color values have numbers based upon this recipe here. But citation ID, and what I'm trying to show you, lookup ID. They all get an ID number once I pull them into my thing. They're all associated when I do have them, and I just started doing this, so this isn't done entirely. So I have, okay, like right here, this article here, I used it in this video. Here, 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 all the timings are right there. See? So, anyway, what was the one I wanted to show you? This one. So this one here, now I can do it a different way. I can look up a video and I can just add it here. Instead of doing it through the citation, I can do it through the video. So that's what that's about. And I've got my little library right here. So I can pull it and say, okay, it's this one, click. It's right here in this video, this, you know, minute, second, whatever it is. And that way it's in there. And then I have that information. So then when I go back to the video, eventually, when I look up a video, which I can look up the video or I can go to the playlist, when I look up the video and I go to the citations, then I can literally see the citation lineup for everything that's in that video. That's the whole premise of that. And you can see I have chapters going out here. I've got the timings. I've got all kinds of information. And then last but not least, I just built this. This is basically the DVD category, or the catalog. DVD catalog, where I'm putting it into, I'm saving it onto DVDs, and I'm creating a catalog for the DVDs so that I know that I've got it saved onto a DVD. Because here's the thing I've learned in my life. First of all, don't ever save anything on your computer. Let me put it this way. I never save anything on my computer. I've had so many computers die on me, and then it's on that hard drive. I always save it on external hard drives. Here they are. I save them and then I back them up. I'm literally showing you everything. This is how I back up my hard drives. I take this data right here, ROBOCOPY, and I mirror it onto the secondary drive. Now I'm going to tell you this. This is a bad experience. I was working for somebody and I wasn't doing anything having to do with that. Okay. But I got blamed for it. And that was wrong and awful of them to do that. The person that was doing their programming, what happened is this database that they were saving, it would save every night or whenever onto something like this, onto a server. Because basically I'm using these as servers. And so it would save onto the server. And what happened was these things can get corrupt. I mean, they have sectors. So and I've talked about that in one of the videos. I actually get into it in the health management. I talk about the vectors, the platters within a hard drive, external hard drive. And you've got usually three platters, and there's 3 needles, and they're reading it. And there's sectors. So there's like, tracks, like little record albums or DVDs, and there's segmented tracks. And then they have little tiny sectors of where you save data, but they're also clustered out in like a pie. So they've got assignments. And what happens is when you are writing something on, like when I save this and then I resave it and I resave it, what happens is eventually these little disks, they get worn out. So those sectors fault. And the problem I had with Seagate is I didn't even use the new one. But unfortunately, I didn't do my warranty. My warranty was over. It's been a nightmare. I'm telling you, it's been a nightmare. I might make a video about it. Most importantly, why I'm telling you this is I put all my stuff on DVD drives now. And that's what I'm doing right here. Making sure that everything I have goes into a DVD library and it sits in the other room. So in case something happens, I have it on DVD. Because I'm not going to use that DVD. It's just for storage. I'm not going to use it over and over and over and over and over. I'm just using it right here. And I think that's really important to understand. So what happened at this one place that I worked at, this person was responsible for making sure that this data was being written on. And what they were using, I think, is something like what I use. And there's different ways. There's Xcopy too, but I just use this right here. And what this does is when I go into my command prompt, CMD, and I'm using Windows 10, by the way. I can change the BIOS to Windows 11. And people are like, what kind of a computer is this? This is a Lenovo X230. And I love this thing because I like the action on it. It has a higher keyboard. And I love this. And actually, it's little. I had 2 of them sitting here, and one of them failed on me. So I'm going to buy another one. I don't really need, the problem is I need more RAM. I don't need any memory because my memory goes on here. And personally, in my view, don't buy more than 2 terabytes. 2 terabytes should be good. If you're going over, and you should never store 2 terabytes on there. If you go over 1 terabyte, then you need to split up your information and catalog it onto another hard drive. But anyway, point is, getting back to the command prompt, you run it as an administrator, and if you use this code right here, okay, I'm copying D to F and I'm mirroring it. So if I go in here and I click on my secondary drive, I've got my D main right here. What's going to happen is you're going to see my F pull right here. Always be really careful because you could overlap, you could screw it up. You got to make sure your drives are assigned and never change them. Make sure you, every time you do this, you say, okay, this is my main one, and it says docs main, and then it says docs back. That's the F. So I'm taking this command and I'm copying it into my command right here, and I would just paste it here, which I'm not going to do right now because I'm busy. But if I did, what would happen is, what it's going to do is it's not going to touch anything that's already on that drive unless it's been changed, and or I've deleted it off my main external drive. It won't do anything to it. It'll only delete it if I've deleted it off, and that's why it's called mirror. So what's happening then is I'm essentially, instead of rewriting everything, rewriting everything that's still there that I'm not even touching, it's only rewriting the data that I am changing or have deleted. It'll pull it off. But remember, computers work, and I'm not an expert in this either, but what I've learned is eventually in time, you're going to wear it out by rewriting and recopying and whatnot, because the computer's going to take, the drive is going to reuse those sectors that I deleted stuff off of. So, point I'm trying to make here is always have a DVD backup. And so here's my external DVD player that I write to, and I just write it, and then I have my little acronym for my catalog, right? So now that I've given you this whole huge thing, now let's get back to your chemical awareness. Now you can understand what I'm doing, the concepts of the product ID, the concepts of the one-to-many. So you're going to have chemicals in here, right? You're going to list your chemical first. You're going to have a chem ID here, and you're going to list them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The thing is, you're not going to have auto numbers in here. You're going to just have to never go back and use a separate one. And then here you can take and you can put your product in here, product A, and then the chem ID. And I would put the chem name. So I would have the chem ID here and then chem name here. And that way you can look at it. And in time, if you get to learn it, you can put on a filter, you can filter, and then at the end of this, your product, you say here on your product one, you would write the product A. Oops, sorry. The header would actually be at the top. So you'd have your header would say PID, P name, you know, and you're gonna, I'd spell this out, of course, right? And then C, this is actually, oh, this is on the wrong one. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. This is on the wrong one. You wouldn't have that. You just have the product and the product ID. And then you'd say allergic, yes or no. Right here, allergic, yes or no. And I'm sorry, I'm trying to get done because I'm tired and I got things to do. But so you'd have it like this, right? Allergic, yes or no. Then in here, you would have your chem and your chem ID. You wouldn't put your allergy here unless you want to put specific allergic. So you'd have two groupings. Remember, the overall product grouping would be here, and then the specific product grouping would be here. Yes or no, all right? Then what can happen is you can create a pivot list, much like my little list that I had in my, where am I? Here we go. Much like I have here, you can create a pivot report. And the pivot report is going to ask you, what are the rows? What are the columns? What is the value? So you can make you make a value, and then you can take those rows. The secondary row would be your specific allergy, and I'm maybe make a data. I'll try to make a video for that. But basically, I'm just sharing with you. This is how I do it, and I'm doing this on the fly. It's like I'm just going through this. You know, some people aren't interested in this. Some people are really interested in it. And some people are like, you don't know what you're talking about. Well, now you can see I build lots of databases. I've just showed you a couple of them. Wait till I get to my medical database. It is freaking impressive. But the point I'm trying to make is you can track when you're specifically allergic to something, or if you just want to make sure that you avoid the chemicals that are really bad, you can just even just make a spreadsheet and just say, you know, do a little bit of research on these chemicals. And again, you're looking at the cluster group. So you want to cluster them out by, you know, what is the main chemical of this product? And then what are the preservatives? Then from there, what is the fragrance? Because most of the time there's a fragrance. There's a brightener. There's fillers. Fillers are things that are not needed usually, or they'll make it thicker. The thing is, with everything we do, there's not just one reason. There's many different reasons. So there could be many different reasons behind a chemical. It might be working as a preservative, but it also might be a base. So I actually have it as a base/preservative. Salts is one of the ones that come to mind. Citric acids are basically those are the responders. You've got that in there. It's working as a preservative, but it's also working as kind of like an agitator, as far as I can. Like when you're putting, you put baking soda in your washing machine, and then you put some distilled vinegar on top of it, and you see that explosion going on. That's basically a reaction. Everything's reacting. So anyway, let's go back down to the basement. All right, so I'm back down in my basement, and I know this is a long video. I might parse things out and make shorter videos or whatnot, but now you can see who I am and what I do and why I do what I do. And for me, I was motivated to remove the chemicals because of them causing reactions in me. But the other motivation is just to protect myself, protect the people around me, protect my beautiful grandkids. I don't like it when they come over and they have this crap in their hair or on their clothes that they don't even know is there. Innocent little babies. And my children too. They're innocent. They don't know it's there. But once you tell somebody, then, especially a parent, it's their job to try to protect their children, because that is your goal. And put this in your parenting playbook under chemical awareness and just stick it in there and have it there. And these wash machines are relatively inexpensive. They're about $150. You can buy them on time. They work pretty good. And actually, I have an older one here. The timer was shot, and I've had it for quite a long time. So I'm probably going to fix it and give it to somebody. It's about $15 for the timer. Just doesn't work anymore. So, but it's pretty old. And the thing is, I want something a little bit bigger. And so this works really perfectly. It's got a big enough drum for me anyway, where I can put stuff in here. And then what you do is you fill this up. Now most people would actually attach their hose here, but I already have a hose going to that and a hose going to that, which I never really use that anymore, just to hang the stuff. But what happens is you take it out of here, you drain it. So it drains. And then once it's drained, you put it in here, and you put this on top of that, and then you spin it. And this is really good. This is very, very good. And you can't spin it unless it's shut, which is great. But it's wonderful. And, like if you need to dry things quickly, this is really great. The centrifuge, it just really it's almost dry once it's done if you put it on for 5 minutes. It's very, very fast. And then you can hang up your clothes. So if you have like a small apartment or something, this is a great little washer too. This is what I had. I had something from like 1950, very similar to this, long time ago in one of my apartments. And I took a board on the back of my bathtub and put this on that, and then I would just hook it up to the faucet in the bathroom. Very easy peasy. But the point I'm getting here is I use this always to wash brand new clothing. I never put my brand new clothing in here. I always put it in there. It's easier to clean out. I don't have to worry about, cleaning this one out that much. I do clean it out from time to time though. And I make sure that things are out. I vacuum my clothes and I clean this. I use my thing here and I clean this out. I spritz a little bit of distilled vinegar over the sink, and I just take and come in here and clean that out. And then I just take and I vacuum this with my vacuum cleaner. That's what I do. I have my little buckets here. So usually one is for the stuff that for instance, when I'm speaking somewhere or I go out to lunch, I take and I throw my stuff into that one, which really is backwards, but I throw it into that one, and then I vacuum it before I even wash it. Because wherever I sit, wherever I go, more than likely like 99% of the time, whoever sat there before me has got tons of chemical stuff on that they have left there. It's residue sitting on a restaurant seat, sitting, at a table. It's everywhere. And I actually now have just these little wipes that I try to wipe down the areas before I sit down to try to remove that. It gets into my car. I have one of these in my car now. I've put plastic lining over my car seat, and I do have cloth thing. I can take that out and just shake it, and then I can just take and go down like this. And I do that every time I get out of my car or right before I get in it to reduce me having to vacuum constantly, because it is a pain. But I actually, even once I wash my clothes, I vacuum my clothes again. And then I throw it into my laundry basket, bring it upstairs, and put it away. So, long video, but I hope you've gotten something out of it. Make sure, watch it if you can. I'll put chapters in when I can. Sometime today or tomorrow, I hope to have the chapters up at least so you don't have to listen to me go on. But I think it's really worth your time to watch it, because I just really literally gave you like Database 101, Database 102. I just showed you so much about databasing, and also too just this understanding of this chemical awareness and how you can break it down into the different chemical clusters. I mean, really. And last thing I want to say is I bought some new towels and things. When you go to the store and you buy new clothes, what you can do is you can grab some bags prior to buying the clothes, put them in your cart. Anything that is clothing, put them in the bag in the cart. Reduce that, because it gets all over. It'll get all over your stuff that you buy. So like here I bought some dishcloths, and I bought some hand towels. So I've got them in the bag, so that way it's not getting all over the place and it's not driving me insane either. I've got it in the bag, and I even have a couple of extra big plastic bags in the car in case something happens, and I can just show the stuff in the plastic bag, bring it in here, and just treat it when I'm down here. All right? So I hope you've gotten something from this. Please give it a like, subscribe, share with friends and family, drop the comment below, click the notification bell. But really, most importantly, please make sure you stay safe and stay healthy. And I hope to see you back here again in Lisa's chat room.